Welcome everyone to the November meeting of the Meridian Library Board of Trustees. It is 7 o'clock and the meeting is now in order. Our first item of business for tonight's agenda is public comment. We solicit public comments in multiple ways via the webpage, email, and also here in person in the meeting. Do we have anybody here for public comment tonight? Okay, great, thank you. That brings us, I should mention too that we'd like to excuse tonight our director, Nick Grove, and trustee Knutson. They will not be here tonight, but we will continue on. Up next is the oath of office. We have a new trustee, Josie Christensen. And so to satisfy the requirements of Idaho statutes, we will administer the oath of office to Josie. So Josie, if I'll just read this off, and if you repeat after me, that'll take care of it, okay?
All right.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Idaho,
and the Constitution of the State of Idaho,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of trustee of the Meridian Library District
of trustee of the Meridian Library District according to the best of my abilities.
Thank you. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
We are glad to have you here. That brings us to item number 4, the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are items that are considered to be routine and not likely to require discussion or opposition. And we were able to, barring any objections, approve all of these in one motion. If there is no objection, we will adopt a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I move to approve the consent agenda as written.
thank you. Is there a second?
Yes, I second that motion.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Up next, item number 5, the financials. These were included in our packet. I would note, however, that in our packet would financial report, not the official September financial report, which is listed as item A on our agenda here. However, we did have the dispersal approvals in our packet. And so tonight we will just be considering the approval of the disbursement approvals, and the approval of the September financial reports will be considered at a future meeting.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. So with that, Jason and or Vasile, would you like to, any comments? Or I guess Emma too? First of all, any questions on the financial reports?
Go ahead. No.
I don't believe I did either.
So, members of the board, our financial manager could not be here today. She is wrapping up our fiscal year 24 audit. So busy kind of organizing all that stuff. So she did ask me to present this. We will not have the approval of September financial reports. That will be presented in a complete package with the audit wrap up. We are introducing today, requesting approval for this disbursement report in line 2. And then we would request that during your motion that you would move to skip the approval of September financial reports and only approve the disbursements, or approve it with the removal of the first.
Got it. Okay. So if there are no further questions, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Please, Destiny, go ahead.
I move to table financials until our December meeting.
Okay.
I second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion to table the approval of the September financial
I'm
reports.
sorry, Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
I'd interject. So we have to approve, it is one motion. So we will have to approve the motion with the removal of the September financial reports.
Okay.
Approve the motion.
So I think if we just approve it with just
Okay.
item B,
I'd like to amend my motion.
please go ahead.
I move to approve the disbursement approvals
With the table.
while tabling the September financial reports until the December meeting.
Thank you. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up in our packets was a proposal or a request to extend the hours on December 6th to be open late for the Meridian Winter Lights Parade. Fairly routine. If there is no objection, we will adopt a motion to keep the unbound branch open until December 6th. And hearing no objection, the motion is adopted by unanimous consent. Thank you. Which brings us to item number 7, director's updates. Vasile and/or Jason.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, just to give you a quick update on what's been going on here at the Meridian Library for the month. We want to recognize the foundation for their support, recognizing that home delivery is a growing service and the needs will be greater. We did look to procure a vehicle, and which would not have been possible without a generous $35,000 donation from the Meridian Library or the foundation. We also want to recognize Kendall Ford for finding a Ford Transit, exactly what we needed, and bringing it in and giving us a fantastic price. So with this home delivery vehicle, we'll be able to expand home delivery services in the future, and as well as internal courier services.
Mr. Chair, trustees, we also wanted to share some statistics. I'll share the first set and then pass it on to Jason. So as you know, Unbound does 3D printing. Our 3D printing statistics are up in every category from this same quarter last year. So we took July through September. So total filament prints, resin prints, everything is up. Even 25 to 29 in total resin prints may not seem like much, but resin is not used as much, so it's an improvement in its own. And if we could go to the next slide, please. Also, revenue we're bringing in with filament charges is up quite a bit. So that's something that shows that upward trajectory in the district's patrons' usage of Unbound. So that's really promising for us, something exciting to keep us moving forward and expanding that service.
So at this point, we want to take a step back and really kind of see a larger overview of our stats. So instead of doing a quarterly stat, we're showing you the total year circulation stats for physical materials year over year, FY23 versus FY24, very gradual increases. Now we're going to see the largest increases is in the next slide, which is our digital collection. It is going to be a significant jump in what our collection size looks like. We have Talk to Materials Services. There is a large push we're seeing in Boise and other libraries around the country to make digital, to make a larger investment into our digital collection. Ideally, we'd like to be at 10 to 1, 10 people waiting for one item. Right now, realistically, it's 13, 14. In order to get it down to 10, it would require a shift in ordering and thinking in order to make that a possibility. Home delivery, this is one of the few areas where we're seeing a slight decrease. I was speaking to our executive manager. I think the thought behind this is that a lot of folks that were using home delivery were on the north side of town, where Orchard Park is now seeing a full year of being open. So a lot of folks are really shifting their preferences to being in branch. Now going into this next fiscal year with the anticipated closure of Cherry Lane, we do anticipate on seeing a significant increase, and we will try to market it. We will be focusing on marketing home delivery as well as a great alternative. And that's one of the things that it's on the table of how we will continue to engage the community with home delivery. So slight drop, not too worried about it. Any questions?
Questions from the trustees?
Keep it nice and simple this month.
Not necessarily questions, but a few comments. So home delivery may be down, but 11,000 deliveries is nothing to shake a stick at. That is a great service and one of the positive legacies of our pandemic response plan, and nice to see that that's still being used by a lot of people. the 3D printing, just for the benefit, if my recollection is correct, we essentially try to charge patrons the cost of the materials. Is that correct?
Yes, that is
Okay.
correct.
Okay, so that revenue is really just a
Break even.
break-even point.
Correct. Yes.
Great. And then as far as the overdrive or the digital collection, I did notice on the disbursements, $110,000 for overdrive, so it's not an insignificant expense. And happy to hear that those services are expanding. For the benefit of Josie, who's new to the board, could you? I'm putting you on the spot here, but can you speak a little bit about some of the challenges of digital copyright and digital licenses compared to print copies, if you would?
Sure.
Just a couple minutes worth.
Yeah, absolutely. So, when we look at physical copies, we buy a copy and it's available to anyone who borrows it, right? And then there's a lot of folks that believe that, well, it's a digital copy. I mean, you should be able to hand out 100 copies, right? And the publishing industry, very rightly so, believes that no, it's one digital copy. It's just like one physical copy, and they make it available. Some of the biggest challenges that we see with digital copies is that they've moved to a subscription model, where a lot of these lenders believe that, hey, after 26 checkouts, you're gonna have to buy it again. Just like a real physical book, after 26 checkouts, it gets worn, may get torn, things like that. So they really moved to this model. And at first, it was a very isolated, it was one or two companies that were doing it. And now all the vendors are doing it. So that's one of the biggest challenges, is that we make these large investments into digital content. And then after 26 checkouts or a couple years, the book goes away and we have to pay for it again. But it's also why we look to the community to help support initiatives so we can continue to fund these collections.
Thank you. Any further questions?
I do have a question. So that's the shift you were talking about in how you're spending, or what kind of materials you're purchasing for that library, because that's what you meant. Or how does that shift happen? You said that we need to have a shift in ordering
Yeah.
in
So
order to reduce that number to 10 to 1.
yeah, absolutely. So right now, the majority of our funding goes to physical materials. We fill the libraries with physical books. With the anticipated closure of Cherry Lane, or with really the shift in adult preferences to move to digital content, ebooks, audiobooks, reading on their tablet, we are seeing, like Boise Public Library, this coming fiscal year, they've allocated more in digital content than they do in actual physical content. And with shrinking collection sizes and libraries really being thought of as community spaces where people can gather, and not just to read, but to connect and do story times, the push is going to be towards digital. And I think that's where we're going to see, possibly not this year, but in the next fiscal year, a larger digital collection budget than a physical collection. That's just my crystal ball thinking there. I can't confirm it yet.
Thank you. That takes us to item number 8, job descriptions. We have 3 action items to consider here, with 3 revised and/or new job descriptions. So I'll turn that over to Lucille and Jason
Yeah,
to talk us through these, please.
members of the board, we're just through 3 job descriptions for review. It's part of our standard annual review process for a lot of these positions. Foundation manager, youth services librarian, really standardizing a lot of the languages, removing repetition, adding a couple of minor edits here and there. So very basic stuff. What is new for this position is going to be our material services supervisor. Our material services manager oversees a very large team with the second largest budget outside of personnel. So we do recognize the need for them to have somebody to assist them. Now, this position, we're requesting an approval for the job description, but we don't anticipate on filling it until April or May.
I'm sorry, which one is that?
The materials
Material
services
supervisor.
supervisor,
Okay,
yes.
thank you. So we'll go ahead and discuss these as a group, but then we will do the approval of these one by one. So I will open it up to any discussion regarding any of the 3 job descriptions.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Josie, go ahead.
I had an observation that I'd like some I'd like to reflect on. So the foundation manager, the youth services librarian, each of those had a requirement, was listed within the requirement of having or being able to obtain a driver's license. Trying to remember exactly the language for that. And there were exceptions at the bottom of the page for, say, a disability or someone that, oh, I should have had it open.
This line 99 in the job description.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah, valid driver's license in good standing. So I'm curious about the word in good standing. And then what was interesting to me is that the material services supervisor did not have that requirement, did not have that certification. It said there was none. So just wondering why it showed up in those and maybe not in the other.
No, Chair Christensen, members of the board, that's a great question. I think that might have been missed in the material services supervisor because it's a brand new position. We'd be more than happy to add that in because I think driving will be an important part of that role. Having a valid driver's license in good standing, making sure that you're not driving on a suspended license, especially on the state insurance. They kind of look down on that. So we want to make sure that we call that out.
And if you'll excuse me, I do see material services supervisor job description line 110, license in good standing or the ability to obtain one. So I am seeing it there. I think the line that we gave you was for another job description. My apologies.
Thank you. I see it there as well. Should have taken notes where.
Any further questions or discussion on these 3 job descriptions? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion. We can go through these one by one if the board is ready.
Mr. Chair,
Destiny, please go ahead.
I move to approve the foundation manager job description.
Is there a second?
Yes, but I did.
Turn to your mic.
I did find the line. Sorry, on page. Can I interrupt for clarification? No second yet.
No, there's a motion on the table.
Yeah,
Motion is on the table.
so you can still second the motion, and then
Okay.
we can have a discussion.
Thank you. I second the motion.
Okay, thank you. And then at this time, we'll have further discussion.
Okay, I have a point for further discussion. Line 223, training licenses or certifications, and I'm in the draft, the red draft version.
Okay, hold on, I'm getting there. So this is the foundation manager,
Yes.
and you're on the red line?
Mhm. Yeah,
or on
it's
the
the
regular?
draft version. Yeah, I guess it is.
Yeah,
the
okay.
draft, that red line.
The red line that's green. And which line? 223.
There it is, 223.
Okay, I'm there.
Okay, so it says none, and I was concerned that we might want that to be similar to the other 2.
So
But in line, go ahead.
no, you're fine. Trustee Christensen, the position itself, like our finance manager, we do request like a CPA. When you talk about a librarian, we do request
Certain
excuse me,
degrees.
certain degrees, MLS, MLIS, or equivalent is the language that we've been using or experience. So with the foundation manager, there is no specific license that we were to request. We can talk about the possibility like a project management license, but it's not really, there isn't really any part of that job that would require any kind of professional license.
Okay.
And I would say there's nothing wrong if an applicant has such training or certifications, but it's not specifically required in the description. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries for the foundation manager position. I would now entertain a motion for the youth services librarian.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I'd like to make a motion to help To approve the youth services librarian position description.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the youth services librarian? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Up next, item C of job descriptions for the materials services supervisor. I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, please.
I move to approve the material services supervisor job description.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor of approving the material services supervisor motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Which brings us to item number 9, 2 action items here for 2 different policies. As I looked over these, the gifts and sponsorship had a lot of changes, but most of them were minor and immaterial, but happy to hear some more details from our director representatives, please.
Yeah, so the gifts and sponsorship and public records policies were went through our the legal review of our new council, just making sure that the language, everything is consistent. Gifts and sponsorships, it was written in, or the language was changed to really reflect. Let me make sure I use the right words here. It aligns with our other policies, and it is in the best interest of the district. And then public records, really, there's a couple of minor updates to reflect some of the changes in the laws that were passed this last legislative year.
Let me look through these again here.
It's a lot, I know.
Yes, please go ahead.
Jason, were these drafted with, it looks like, the assistance of legal counsel?
Yes, it was.
Both of them, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
At our, I'm sorry, was that at our request or at Holly Talks?
It was at a request. We sent it in, and then council, being super smart, was able to blow through it and really kind of focus and understand it and help us draft it in a way where again, language changes, standardizations of words, cut terminology, things like that, to get it to flow properly.
Okay. Are there any further questions or discussions on these 2 policies? If not, we will consider them one by one, and I would entertain a motion for item A, please.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, please, go ahead.
I move to accept the gifts and sponsorship policy as it appears.
Second.
Thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving policy 9A, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. I would entertain a motion for the public record policy approval.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, please.
I move to approve the public record policy as written.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second it.
And further discussion? All in favor of approving the public record policy, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Which brings us to item number 10 on the agenda, future agenda items. These would be things to consider for our next meeting. We will, of course, revert back to and add the September financial reports on the next meeting agenda, along with, I would expect, some regular policy and job description reviews according to our schedule. Any other things that you would like to see covered in our next? If we're getting close to any news on the Cherry Lane progress with MSR, here's something on that. And I can talk to Director Grove about some of these things too. But.
Absolutely.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, please.
if
Destiny.
possible, I would, on our future agenda, like to see additional presentations from staff in different units, which we typically have. We just don't this time.
Yes.
I assume that's because it's a very busy time of year.
Towards the end of the year, things start winding down. Try not to make it too complicated.
Anything specific you'd like to see covered?
Nope, nothing specific.
Okay.
I just enjoy
Yeah.
sort of that staff presentation piece and getting to learn more about what our folks are doing.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Very good. That brings us to the end of our meeting for this month. Item number 11 at 7:25, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.